Hello, this is Elizabeth Clare Brewington with Discover Bright Side, a video and podcast multimedia channel to discover new things. And as you know, we love authors. And Mary, you have been discovered. And so the theme of this interview is how did you write your first book? So share with us a little bit about yourself. And I know you're an author of 6 books, so congratulations. And let's begin the interview.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I would say that first and foremost, I am a woman of God. I'm a wife and a mom of two. And I started this journey because I actually, back then at that time, I was a single parent. So I was trying to find a means to be with my kids and at the same time make supplemental income. And, just going along the journey, God showed me that I was a survivor of bullying as well as a survivor of domestic violence. So I was introduced to being a part of a bully committee for my son's school at the time, as well as I was introduced to be a part of some committees for domestic violence and being able to just advocate and be proactive to let people know what a healthy relationship is.
Yes, and that's so true because people who are in a bullying or a domestic violence situation sometimes don't know any other way. And when you see a normal relationship, it sounds like it's completely a different scenario. So let's begin with your first book. So tell us about your first book, the title, and what started you on this journey.
So my first book is titled Motivation, Serenity, Gratitude. And is a devotion. It's 365 days for you to break every chain to become better. So this book actually started, I got out of a domestic violence relationship that was back in 2011. And I just went on this journey where God was just healing me from the inside out. And along that journey, he was providing with me just words of encouragement and devotions. So I just started to write them down. And if we fast forward to 2013, I took all of those. And I remember a word coming from my pastor, and they said, well, it's time for you to write that book, not knowing that it was confirmation for me to write the book. So I would say, trying to figure out what avenue to go through when it comes down to publishing the book. I did some research online and I was trying to figure out where do I want my book to be. So I came across Life Rich Publishing. So I said, okay, this is a great place for my book to be. So that's how I got started with publishing. I had my manuscript and they coached me through the process as far as what I needed to do, as well as a lot of research on my end. And I would say, looking back on that, as an author, you still have to do a lot of work on your own as far as marketing and everything else. So that was traditional publishing, but now I own the rights to that book. So I actually, in 2019, I actually republished that book and ended my contract with
Oh, that's good. Go girl, go girl. You want to be your own publisher. I like that.
them.
I like that.
Yes.
All right, so let's move along. Tell us some of your I think you expressed one of the challenges was with publishers. So what were some of the victories with all 6 books?
Say some of the victories, I would say it will be more than less being able to share my testimony and how God transformed my life from the environment I was raised in to the environment that I am in today. And just hearing testimonies from people. I remember a young lady just saying, she's talking about me in this book. And I was like, no, I'm not actually talking about you. I'm talking about my story. So I love that the fact that my story and what I share is not just exclusive to me, someone else can relate to it and they will be able to start their own healing journey to help someone else.
That's so true, very true. And yeah, so the writing process, so tell us a little bit about the experience. Do you have like a routine? have you ever experienced writer block? So, what's your day like?
I can say yes, I have experienced a lot of writer's block. And I remember my last book, I would say actually my book, Love is Not Black or White. That was more than less. Most of my books are chapter books, but they are short novels. Going through writer's block, what I tend to find is just leaving it alone and come back. And also being in a quiet environment or changing your environment, going out for a walk or going to a park. But sometimes the creativities for me can happen in the wee hours. And, I would say, I'm going to get back to it. And then when you wake up in the morning, you don't remember what the thought that was given to you. So what I would say is the journey for me for my first book, it took a little over a year to write and publish that book with traditional publishing. But as far as my most recent book, It Can Stop With You, Johnnie, I would say it took probably a year. And that's because I created the characters, and it took a little longer because I was not familiar with how to create characters. So I was doing my research and using different platforms.
Oh, wow, that's cool. Very cool. Um,
That's a very interesting title. It can start with you, Johnnie.
It Can Stop With You, Johnnie. So
Oh,
so my husband name is funny about this title. So my husband name is John, and this was
uh-huh.
a book. It was actually a skit. So I kind of like pushed it off. Me and my son, we thought about this skit to address bullying, but I did not pick it back up. This was years, before I met my husband. And then fast
Uh-huh.
forward to me being married, and I was like, it's funny. And now it was an opportunity for me to publish the book. So the character is Johnnie.
Okay, I see. I see. I see.
and that's
That's cool.
awesome. So who's your target audience? And tell us a little bit about that.
So my target audience is actually women, young adults, and children.
Okay.
And the focus of this is to let them know that no matter what you face in life, you can overcome it. And also instilling these parents in them inspiration and encouragement and motivation to move forward and to help your children, because I understand we live in a fast-paced society and we have technology. Technology can be beneficial. However, we cannot rely on technology to raise our children and also just educate ourselves as well.
Wow, that's powerful. So marketing and promotions, what's worked for you so far and what hasn't? And tell us all about your marketing and promotion efforts.
Word of mouth always helps.
Yes.
I would definitely say social media. If you have friends as well that share your books, and different vendor events and speaking opportunities are opportunities to market your book. But what I try to do now, my focus is YouTube. I use my newsletter as well as I look for different opportunities that match my core purpose as well as my beliefs.
Well, we
Mm-hmm.
hope that you'll subscribe and share this video to your channels as well, and we will do the same. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so any future books coming up, or is this the latest launch?
Well, I'm sure it probably will be future books, but at this moment, no.
All right. So over to you, Elton. Any questions?
Oh, well, I've got a few questions. Well, we covered two books. What about the other four? The last book is
The last book
the,
is It Can Stop With You, Johnnie. So that
oh,
was
that's the
published
last one.
last.
Okay. Okay. And the
What
books
about the in
between.
between? What about the four books?
Mhm.
So the other book is called Love Is Not Black or White. So it is a book where it provides a practical guide for you to assess where you are with love, but it's to let you know that it is not the stipulation and preferences that we place on love. So it is for you to um, I would say is for you to improve your love walk and to address issues as it pertains to your own family, co-workers. And it covers different areas from the workplace, your family, as well as neighbor, loving your neighbor. So, and also, what is the cost of loving? Is there a cost to love? The
Mhm.
next book would be the next two books, I would say, is actually a series. It's The Girl Who Lived Behind the Fence. It's part one and part two of my story. So it's how a teen went from being rebellious to righteous. So that is part two is where I am today. Part one is when I was a teen, growing up to be a young adult. Just letting you know, you can live life in hot pursuit or you can live life in hot pursuit. But it is an assessment before and after, so you can evaluate the choices that you are making in life to determine whether or not you are making the right choices. And the last book is The Great I Am, which is a interactive bilingual kids book to help channel a child's faith so they can become great. And I try to let kids, I start off if I'm at an event or speaking, I say, well, have you heard of Batman or Superman? They say, yeah. I'm like, did you know you are a superhero to God? And it's like, wow. I said, you are a superhero. You're God's little superhero. So you can use your voice to change things. And parents need to understand that you can benefit from your child. They growing each and every day, so they change. So embrace the moment and the time that you have with them and help them to use their voice so that they can change different things in life, but also so that they can be able to address bullying if it happens and they know who they are in Christ before they enter into school, or if they're in school and they encounter this. I always say that domestic violence and bullying, it may not happen to you at this moment, but it's happening in your neighborhood. So why wait till something comes to your doorstep? Why not take a stand against this so that you can help someone else? Because we all are one.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great advice. And
I'm
also report it. Don't feel
Yes,
like, you're doing because it's not just about you, it's also about your significant other, because if they have a mental problem, they need to get help. So you would
absolutely.
actually be helping them as well as yourself by getting help. So, that's the big key thing. Yes, Elton, over to you.
Yeah, I was bound by, well, for quite frankly, you do have to spend quite a little time in self-esteem, building yourself up so you're not caught with, elements such as these. So you find yourself, really, sound accordingly, and you have probably have your own principles, and you could share with us some of those that help you restore your sense of self, give you a greater perspective of self. Tell us about that strategy and process.
I would definitely say you are absolutely correct. You do have to work on your self-esteem and being involved. If I'm to look back on when I was involved in domestic violence, and let's just say in my book, The Girl Who Lived Behind the Fence, I talk about my testimony and my story of how I got out of that situation. But it was just one moment. Sometimes we put demands and ultimatum on people just for the sake of trying to get what we want. And we
Sure.
see different red flags to say, okay, this is not it. But you continuously go down this path to say, no, this is it, because you are trying to get something that you want. And it may not be necessarily good for you. So getting out of that, I would say I had to work on me as far as when you're trying to replace something, you have to fill yourself with something opposite to that. Okay. So I'm being abused verbally, emotionally, and close to physical. So you have to love on yourself. And that was one where I would say that I definitely got into the word of God. And I said, okay, Lord, well, how do you see me? And I had to build myself up with saying, okay, this is how he sees me. And this is the plan that he has for me. That's a revelation where he got me out of that situation. And I had to invest in me with words of affirmation, with the Bible. It's just different things that you have to do. And sometimes you have to silence the noise on the outside. It can come from your family and your friends and your coworker. You have to do that work yourself. No one else can do it for you, because at the end of the day, behind every four walls, something is going on, but you have to know that it's going to be you at the end of the day by yourself.
Yeah.
So you have to invest in yourself, and that's positively investment. If that's where you have to listen to a podcast, or you have to read the word of God, or you got to we just read, me and my daughter, we just read Joyce Meyer's Emotion book. You have
Mm,
to do something to replace what you have been through
mm,
that may be negative.
Do you
That
find your
makes a lot of
children
sense.
are really captivated by what they can do to keep, their friends at in check? I mean, because I mean, typically people who are conscious or patient or understanding, they find I don't want to push you too far. I mean, let me not ask that question. Or, because people who are very, understanding, they know I can't ask that question. But then, in the real world we live in, people don't have those kind of constraints on themselves. I mean, we wish they did, but, usually we have to put those constraints on them ourselves. That's what I found. And
No, I
so,
agree
but
with you. You have to set boundaries. You definitely
yeah,
have to
yeah,
set boundaries. And where you cannot set boundaries, that's where you need to assess your relationship with that person, because a
sure, sure.
relationship is supposed to be give and take. And if
Uh-huh.
that person cannot respect your boundaries, then you need to reevaluate your relationship
That's
with that
true.
person, whether it's a friend or a family member. You have to set boundaries
Yes,
and
absolutely.
protect yourself.
That's
That's
true.
true.
That's true.
Good
Yeah.
advice. Really good
Great
advice.
item. I mean, and these are things that, of course, men can benefit too, but men, I typically don't find that they're, that kind of, they're not that, well, I don't know, to other men. I don't, I have friends that know their limits with me and they're respectful. And I absolutely demand respect. And those are the premises of a good
Yeah,
relationship. And if
yeah.
you can't step forward with respect, then, we have to evaluate the friendship. So good job, great items, and it's a gender conscious, and I think but you probably don't go with that audience, men and women, typically women. Well, tell me about that.
Well, I would say that I can do my audience is when I say young adults, that's from 18 to 40. My
Mm,
books are catered towards young adults. Now, when it comes
mm,
down to men in general, I prefer to involve my husband in on that because I am a
okay,
woman and I do
sure.
live in this society. So, it's
Uh,
just a protection
uh,
mechanism for me, as well as
okay.
understanding my position and my role, because when we come together there's different things that he's able to show me and there's different things I can show him from a woman's standpoint and he can show me from a man's standpoint.
Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. That's great. That's great. Sounds
So,
ideal.
so we are the bright side. So, what does bright side mean to you? It's a question we ask everyone. Yeah.
So when I seen that question, I was like, wow, this is a great this is a great question. Bright side, what it means to me is looking at every situation on a positive note, looking to see what good can you take out each situation, even if it's a item or a book. That's what bright side means to me.
That's a
Mm-hmm.
great one.
Oh,
I've not heard that one
okay.
before. Okay, over to you,
Good.
Elton, and I'm going to wrap up because I
Uh,
want to talk about.
okay. Okay. You and your husband, you work together on the book. Is there a collaboration that both of you will engage in on for a book title?
Well, I don't think I don't think so, but I'm not going to put a limit on that. But what I will say is most of my books, well, actually four was published before we got married. So the last two, I typically run things by him to get his perspective on things. But as
Mm-hmm.
far as collaboration on books, I'm not sure. That's to be determined.
Well, there's a great audience out there, a need for men and women, and
Mm-hmm,
speaking to each other and speaking to a larger audience of
mm-hmm,
how to communicate and how to share your experiences and moments that demand collaboration. And
mm-hmm,
that's important. Those are important elements because, you will find, I believe, that there'll be circumstances that, you'll ask each other, how do we handle that?
Hmm.
I mean, and things come up and you've never dealt with it before.
Hmm.
And so they will require that you communicate a collaborative and unified perspective, especially when it comes to your children.
Absolutely.
It's yeah, yeah. So it's a big deal, and when it comes to perspective, even matters of race,
Hmm.
and you've got us to and being Christians, standing up and speaking loud and showing that your children are respectful and that they should be respected. That's an important territory, and I would say, hey, go for it.
Yes, like I
Go ahead.
said, we shall see. Like I say, he is more so. My husband is more so behind the scenes, but he's on the
Okay.
scene.
Okay.
He has a great discerning spirit, and he's a protector. So
Uh-huh.
I'm just gonna flow with that, Ian.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Sounds like you've conquered a few territories. And
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. Like you said, we co-parent as well, so we had some
Okay.
charted waters.
Oh yeah, I mean you're raising, 21st century children and
Hmm.
they've got to be prepared to be, to demand respect as well as
Hmm.
a step forward to be all that they have the capacity to be.
Absolutely.
And that really requires, I believe, a perspective from both parents.
Hmm.
And sometimes you're not going to agree on everything. Now you have girls or boys, girls and
I
boys.
have a 22-year-old and a 14-year-old daughter.
Wow.
Okay.
You look very
Mhm.
young and beautiful. Yeah, that's amazing.
God is good.
Mhm.
Thank
All
you.
right, I have to end because I've got another person coming on, but thank you, thank
Okay.
you, thank you. And if you're watching this video on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or wherever the channel is available, make sure you subscribe, you hit the bell button, and make sure you write us a comment and tell us what you think. And if you do happen to buy these books, make sure you take a photo so we know you're paying attention. The objective of Brightside is for you to read more. And we want you to start a library and we want you to buy these books. And if you're a wholesaler or a bookstore or distributor reviewing books, these are great books. Librarians and book resources, these are really good books to put on the shelves because we need more books about bullying and domestic violence so we can create an awareness and there are resources for people who are looking for them. So we highly recommend these books. And are they on Amazon?
Yes, they are on Amazon, or if you would like an autographed copy, they can visit my website, motivationalmary.com.
So there you go. So you can go to her website, you can go on Amazon, and they're available. Get them today. And if you are someone in need of help, look for resources and get these books because they would really help you. And we will pray for you, and we hope that whatever the situation might be, that you will come out of it triumphantly, successfully, and meeting someone like Mrs. Watts is an inspiration to us all. So thank you so much. And you're watching Discover Bright Side. And Mrs. Watts, you've been discovered.